And who did we hear from this week, Rory? And what's the question?
Well, a long-time supporter of what we do and a regular poster in our page, Amanda Ridyard. So hi to you, Amanda. And she says, hi, Rory and Ken. Just wondering if your guys had done a podcast on the development of expressive therapies or maybe its weakness. Well, I think that's really interesting because when we think of expressive therapies, you know, sometimes we talk about art therapy.
Yep.
And the work of Natalie Rogers, which of course was Carl Rogers' daughter. And Rogers talks of his daughter's work as ploughing new ground. And it certainly is. So I've got some observations on using art or sand or any medium. And actually, I found reference to it in Moby Dick, the book Moby Dick.
Ah, interesting.
Novel, yeah. Call Me Ishmael. That's the greatest start of any book I've ever read. Call Me Ishmael. So much of an introduction. And effectively, it's a story of people hunting a whale. It works on so many levels. But as part of the story, someone nails a doubloon to a mast, and the doubloon was an old-fashioned coin. And each of the people on the boat went to look at it, and they all saw different things within it. And in fact, Ishmael, who's like the hero, the anti-hero of it, he reflected his own reflection back where other people saw different things. And it's something that's been in literature for a long time, where someone's looking at something and it creates either something out of awareness or brings something from subconscious into conscious. So the real person who developed expressive therapy is well known, of course, is Natalie Rogers. I'll give you some observations from residentials, you know, where we use a lot of expressive materials on a residential. I might be giving things away here, like clays, paints. One of the things we do is the mask. I don't know if you remember the mask exercise, Ken.
Oh, very well, Rory.
What we do is we get a mask from an art shop. Usually, they're usually white plastic, and then we ask learners to, on the outside, paint the face they show to the world, but on the inside, the face they show to themselves. And it is really, really a powerful exercise. And many tears we always used to, and I'm not mocking people, please don't misunderstand me, but we always used to make sure we had a lot of tissues around, lots of Kleenex, because it really did impact on learners' incongruence. And in fact, when I've used that same technique in therapy, it has the same effect. And what I would say, Amanda, is that you've asked for disadvantages. Well, the disadvantages in my experience, or the kind of weakness, is the impact. It may be that clients are totally unprepared for the material that comes up, and as a consequence may feel overwhelmed. So I think that if you're using any form of expressive therapy, clays, that type of thing, be aware of the impact, and maybe, not warn, but alert the client to see if you can work with the feelings that emerge. The other side of it is that some people just don't think they're artistic, and it's trying to get the idea across that it's not about creating another Picasso or a Rembrandt or all the other kind of art that's around. It's about just creating something that forms meaning for you. And that's a really big disadvantage in my experience, certainly with students, because they've all said, well, I'm no good at art. And then what you have to do is very gently explain it's not about creating a huge work of art. And in fact, the resistance might be that they're so poor at it, or they believe they're so poor at it, that it brings back childhood memories maybe from school. Our old friend transference again.
Big time. Transference tends to show itself in that kind of a situation. So expressive therapies can be drama related, they can be art related, they can be music related. There's many different ways of bringing that in. And what you're doing is you're using another conduit to basically tap into the emotions, the thoughts, and sometimes the subconscious processes as well. And that's where we see that transference, that counter-transference show itself. And it's a safe place in a way, in that I'm going to go back to the mask, Rory. So we're talking about the mask. You're drawing on the outside of the mask. This is what I show the world. And then on the inside, that I don't show the world, that I see, that I feel, that is on the inside. And there is incongruence, what I show outwardly, and here's what I keep inwardly. And in drawing it, it's almost like a threat-free environment, as Rogers would suggest that therapy is very effective in a threat-free environment. It's a threat-free environment because you're painting. And you're in a different mindset, using a different part of your brain to do the artistic expression. And it's amazing that when you take that, you may not think too much about it when you're doing it, because the tears are generally not as the artwork is being done, but as it is being maybe explained to the group, to peers in pairs, where you would sit and explain what your mask is about. And as you start looking at it, and start looking at what you've created, it's amazing what can come up and what you can actually key into when you start talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a therapist, you've got to be super alert to that, because sometimes you have to contain the client, you have to contain the client and hold them emotionally, because it can be, and as I say, I have a limited experience with it in therapy, but quite a lot of experience working with students on residentials. And it can be, it literally is from 0 miles an hour to 100 emotionally. And sometimes you've got to kind of lean over and grab the steering wheel.
Definitely.
Help to apply the handbrake, because it can just unlock stuff. So I think that's something that I would observe.
Definitely, and of course, very effective in working with children. Maybe with the use of dolls, or for drawings that they can express themselves, and more able to key into emotions and explaining how it is for them via that expressive therapy. I think is maybe a little untapped, because if you look around, it doesn't seem to be a high street norm, expressive therapy, but so effective, having experienced it. And of course, as Rory has already said, it needs to be in the hands of a trained professional. You don't graduate from college, from university as a therapist and then dive straight into expressive therapy. Go and do the CPD, know what you're working with, because from 0 to 100 miles an hour on those emotions, it's tricky, and you really need to be there to hold that person.
Absolutely. And one final observation, I used to use pens and creative CD covers when I used to work as a school counsellor. Make yourself I don't know if it'd be a download artwork now, wouldn't it? CDs are a bit last year, aren't they? But but make yourself a CD cover. I put on it, and it's amazing what children will put on it and express themselves. And they can also be mightily useful if you're working in a triangulation meeting with parents, where you're kind of working with the child and the parent, and you can show the artwork to the parent with the child's permission, and that's a contract and a lot of supervision, a lot of thought, and sometimes it can bring stuff up from the parents. It can be a gentle reminder to the parent of maybe what they're missing of their child.
Yeah, very much so. And to kind of close this off, just one final thought that I have on maybe the weakness or the downside, as that was related in the question. My father, he's been dead for many years now, but he spoke about therapy that he once went to, and he shared with me that he went in to see a therapist where no relationship had formed. It was a brand new relationship, and he came out and he said to me, they got dolls out and they wanted me to play with dolls. And he never went back again. And that was a massive barrier for him. And it just shows that it's about the right person, reading the person, and at the right time, and being able to be with your client. There you go. It put him off.
But it's all about the relationship and context. Context is everything.
Indeed it is. So great topic. Thank you very, very much for that question. And of course, carry on the conversation. Get onto that Facebook page. Come and join those 16,000 like-minded individuals and speak about the questions that you have, because we love to go through there and pick them out for our podcast.